All right, we have done the tour of Adam's polishes. Hope you found that interesting. If you didn't catch that, I'll put a link up above and in the description. Big thanks to Joe and the staff here for being so friendly and showing us around and showing us what they do here. But now is the fun part. It's time to take Optimus out to the back, start getting her cleaned up and ceramic coated so we can see what kind of difference that makes and how to do it ourselves. So I'm really excited about this part. Let me know what you think. If you like this type of video, you want to see more types of videos like this, let me know in the comments. I'm really interested if you're going to like this content that we're putting out here in collaboration with Adam's Polishes. I'm excited about it because I can't wait to see how good Optimus looks when it's all done. So let's pull in the back. Let's get started. Now, one of the first things we're going to do is the wheels and tires. Why are we doing that first?
Yeah, it's actually a good question. You know, really the whole purpose of doing wheels and tires first is to reduce the chance for getting water spots on your paint. Because water spots are, everyone gets them and everyone wants to know how to get rid of them. So reducing the chance of getting water spots is very important. One thing Adam taught us kind of from the beginning is take steps forwards and no steps backwards. So if I end up blasting the whole car down and it starts developing water spots, it's something I'm gonna have to fix later. I don't wanna do that. So starting with wheels and tires first, you do one at a time. So we'll just focus on this rear one now, then the front one, and then the rest of them. And then once we're done with that, we'll move into the engine. So, and this process, you know, I have about 6 wheel cleaning tools in my bucket. And each one of them kind of serves a different purpose. So just to start, it's always good, like obviously you've been on the trail.
Yeah.
That goes without saying, right? But pressure washer, very important. But we're just gonna blast as much loose dirt and grime off first. So spray down the tire and then move on to the wheel. And I like to hit the fender wells and got to make sure you get your suspension too. So. Like that. So you can see this is still like has some brown in there. And to be honest with you, that's less of, you know, dirt and grime from the trail. It's more like mold release agent or tire blooming.
Because these are fairly new tires. They've only seen 2 trails.
Yeah.
So I can understand some of that.
Yeah, and if you're, well, I was already told, don't use high gloss tire shine from Carrie here.
We're not doing tire shine.
We're not, but if you have been using tire dressing and you keep layering it without cleaning it off, it will build up and turn brown. And so if you use a high silicone,
oxidation?
Yes, high silicone tire shine turns brown pretty much. So that this product I'm going to use is also a way to remove that, which I'm using something we call a wheel and tire cleaner.
Pretty easy to understand what that's for.
Listen, we're super creative with the names, you know? So, but you'll see, like once I start spraying this on, it starts breaking down that tire blooming. Like,
look how quick we're starting to see some of that grime start just melting off.
So the cool thing about this is you can then spray it onto your wheels as well. And when I'm doing this, I'm really focusing on obviously the face of the wheel, but I also spray into the barrel of the wheel. It's very important to clean the barrel of your wheel. And then I'll even spray into the fender.
For a lot of us, that's just a mud collector.
Yeah.
But also brake dust.
Exactly, yeah. Brake dust, listen, brake dust, when you see really dirty wheels and tires, especially on daily driven vehicles, brake dust is the culprit every time. You know, because most brake dust has metallic particles in it. And so the reason why it looks brown is because those metallic particles have started rusting. And so that's a lot of times why you'll notice it now, Carrie, I promise you. You're gonna drive home and you're gonna say, they have a ton of brake dust buildup. So first thing I like to start with is this is called the fender brush. So long handle, which allows me to hold it with my hands separated and then gives me leverage to scrub in the fender first. And it just gives you better reach to clean in here. Even hit this suspension as well. So this is, the brushes are the agitator. So we're just agitating the surface.
And now in the bucket, it's just plain water?
Just plain water, that's it, yeah. And then we'll start scrubbing the tires.
Look at that.
Yeah, I love that.
That looks so gross.
And this is, you know, wheel and tire cleaner is really popular product of ours. So this is one, like we were talking about during the tour, is available at big box retail. So something you can, or I guess brick and mortar would probably be a better way to put it. But again,
Amazon?
Like, yeah, Amazon, it's available on all of our channels. And so again, like if you're getting low on it, it's very accessible.
What's a bottle of that run?
I want to say it's right around like $12 or $13.
So pretty affordable.
Yeah. Okay.
And hard to believe how just brown this looks already. I mean, it has definitely taken some of that gunk off.
Yeah. So then once I do that, then I'll grab something called our wheel face brush. That's this guy. So it's nylon bristles, really soft, so it's not going to scratch any wheel surfaces. As
if you could tell on my already scratched up rims.
Yeah, no, we don't have to worry about that here. You got all kinds of badges of honors on this car. So this one does a good job. Lug nuts, the face. I'll even hit the lip here, which always gets really dirty. And even into this section. So once I agitate that, then I take this angled wheel brush. So it has a 45-degree bend, like that.
Handy.
So the nice thing about this is it can reach into the barrel like this. So I'll kind of give it a quick scrub on the barrel like this. But the really nice thing is that because of the 45-degree bend, I can clean behind the spokes as well. Because, you know, like cleaning your car, detailing it, it's like peeling back layers. Like you'll clean this, and if you don't hit back here,
if you miss a spot, you're gonna see it.
Oh, 100%. It stands out almost more. So having the right tools just allows you to deep clean them, you know? And I'll even grab the neck right here and just hit the spokes as well. And then, you know, if you want to get really detailed, we have this trim and lug nut brush. I can never find it, but this guy right here. And this, you can really get into the lug nuts. Yours are a little bit more exposed, but your valve stem, and then I can even reach back and hit the caliper as well.
I mean, because what's a good wheel job without a nice looking caliper?
Exactly. Well, and those have so much brake dust buildup because that's where the source of the brake dust comes from. So and then we just pressure washer, we'll spray it off. There you go. One wheel done. Then we move on to the next one. And, you know, one of the things I will say about cleaning wheels and tires is we consider it part of the washing process. I think a lot of people think of it's like separate, but this is something you should do every time you wash your car. It just, this is the thing that touches the ground, you know, and the brake dust is just, I mean, it's everywhere. So they usually, like, if you wash your car but you don't do your wheels and tires, it is glaringly obvious, you know. So we just treat it every time I'm going to clean my car. I completely prep myself for wheels and tires first, and then moving on to the rest of the car. So.
I mean, and that didn't take very long at all.
No.
So maybe what we should do is go do the other side, because this side's in the sun. We'll come back and we can see the front and this rear as it's clean, kind of a and B.
Definitely, I love that. Dressed, it looks even better.
Okay, so now we're taking a look at the front, which is before, and let's go to the rear. Holy cow, look at this. I mean, that is literally night and day difference. It's unbelievable, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a testament to the product and, you know, our chemist that develops that stuff. Again, that's again why this product is so popular. It works every time, you know, so that's a lot of times my go-to. But, you know, we have 3 different wheel cleaners. This is one of them, which is wheel and tire cleaner. So it combines 2 things into one. We also have a dedicated wheel cleaner, which actually will melt away metallic brake dust. So performance vehicles, Corvettes, you know, like Audis, they have a ton of metallic brake dust. So wheel cleaner works better for that. And then, you know, if you have, like if your wheels were billet, like raw billet aluminum or raw billet metal, we would have used a different product for that, because both that one and our standard wheel cleaner can actually stain those. So we have one called Eco Wheel Cleaner, which is perfect for that.
Now, we don't really ever see a buildup of brake dust because we're washing it every week.
Yeah.
I mean, we go a trail, we come back, we wash everything. So we've never really seen a buildup of brake dust, but just the dirt and grime and tire bloom and everything else. I mean, these tires have not looked this good since they were put on. And I know in the last 5 years, the only time my tires have ever looked this good is exactly that. Right when they get put on. They never look this good.
Yeah.
I am super impressed so far. Now, this is not the final step. There's a dressing that goes on these.
Yeah, that's after like all the washing. It's kind of like, it's like you polish your shoes before you leave, you know? So we have tire dressings that we'll end up putting on there, which will even like make it look that much better. So,
But we're not doing tire shine.
not yet, no.
Not
So
a tire shine.
we're gonna finish this front wheel and tire, and then we'll move on to washing the car.
Awesome. Okay, well, now we're ready for basically step 2, which is going to be to clean the car first before we can get to any next step, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So we got a couple products, a couple tools that we're going to use.
Yeah.
And let's run through it.
Okay, yeah. So, you know, I think just for everyone watching, when you watch us do the washing, you're gonna say, these guys are insane. These guys are crazy. This is too much. Why would you ever wash your car like that? Well, I get it, because there's a lot of convenient ways to wash your car, like go through the drive-through car wash, whether it's has brushes or it's high pressure. But generally, I'm sure Carrie could touch on it, is you're not always satisfied with what your car looks like when it comes out. You know, like doing it by hand in your driveway, you have way more control, you know, and you also can control the damage that you're going to get in your car. So
Now, by that, what do you mean by damage from car washing?
okay, yeah, sorry. Damage would be like micro scratches. So it looks like there's spider webs all over your car. Those are we call them swirl marks. It's like you're swirling it from either going through a car wash or not using the right tools when washing, or, you know, getting water spots. I'll talk about that a lot during this, because water spots, again, it's something that can be prevented, but when you get it, it takes a long time to remove it, you know? So again, I think like we talked about it before, taking steps forward and not back. And again, like if we're always taking steps forward, you know, we're gonna be, our process is gonna be more efficient. You know, it's like this, Carrie, right? You'll like this. You go out on the trail, you could take the interstate that's gonna bypass all of the trails and everything. You could take it off road and actually get there faster by going at a slower speed, because you went the right way instead of backtracked and then came all the way around, right? So thinking about it kind of like that, it's like we're taking slow steps forward, but it's compounding to make the whole process more efficient.
Okay, because I have taken it through the automatic car wash. I absolutely refuse to do a car wash that has the spinning brushes. That's just, as you put it, a scratch-o-matic.
Yeah, exactly.
Never would I do that in a million years. But even the ones that are brushless, I finish, it dries, and sometimes it just still looks dirty.
Yeah.
And so there's steps that we're going to take to prevent that.
And kind of first step is to get it clean, but putting a ceramic coating on a car will aid in your your satisfaction going through a high pressure system drive-through car wash.
It's just going to make the process easier to wash it down the road.
100%. So,
okay, what are we going to start with?
Yeah, so when we get into car washing, our standard car shampoo is I use this
again with these fancy names.
I know, yeah. I mean, let's get real creative here, you know. So this is a very highly lubricated car soap, but it also is pH.
What do you mean by lubricated?
Lubrication. So it has a lubricating agent to it. So when you use your wash pad, it glides better on the surface, reducing the chance for getting scratching. So high lubrication makes car care more effective and more easy. We don't want any drag with our wash pad, because then you'll get those swirl marks. So a highly lubricated car soap. Also, this is called pH neutral. So it's pH 7. What that does is actually encapsulates the minerals in the hard water. So it's safer, or it's more safe to have the car shampoo dry on the vehicle than it is to have hard water dry on the vehicle. So again, a tool with the soap to eliminate getting water spots, essentially.
Now, I know some of the soaps that I've bought on Amazon before, I'll pay, you know, $14, $16 for a gallon of shampoo, and it'll last me a while. But this, in comparison, sounds expensive because it's about $10 for 16 ounces.
Yes, and you know, yeah, $10 for 16 ounces, but it's highly concentrated. So you use less than what you would with maybe a different product. And again, the benefits to this with neutralizing the water and having high lubrication really outweigh the cost difference of something else you would
But
get.
in the long run, we're probably going to save money anyway.
Probably.
Because we're diluting it, we're not using as much.
Yeah, exactly. So when it comes to setting up everything for washing, I have 2 wash pads. These are microfiber wash mitts. I have 2 buckets with clean water right now. And so what I like to do is I'll take the car shampoo, and when you put the soap, most people do this, put it in the bucket, right? We like to put it actually onto the wash pad like that and like this, because we want the soap to activate inside the wash pad, so there's lubrication and suds in the wash pad while we're washing. I'll put a little bit more in the bucket just because we do want some suds in there as well. So as far as car shampoo, it was about right here, and that's all I'm going to use of this today. Okay, so but another soap we have, which this is a more purposeful soap. So this is called strip wash. So this is a different pH, but this, I don't know what you have previously put on this car. So wax, sealant, I have no idea. So what we want to do is get that off of the car, so when we go to protect it with ceramic coating, it goes onto the clear coat and not wax or sealant. So I'm going to be using strip wash to foam it down with our foam cannon to help activate that, so it removes that. So then cleaning. So we have regular car shampoo in the bucket, and then this is called a foam cannon. This connects to your pressure washer.
So strip wash is not going to be a normal procedure.
This is not something you do all the time, no. If anything, if I was going to foam this car down without strip wash, I would just use car shampoo and do 2 to 3 squeezes of it, and that will put enough soap in here that it will, it's like flocking a Christmas tree is almost what it looks like. So you'll see I just put about that much in there. So again,
maybe a cup worth?
Yeah, maybe. I'd probably give it like, I think generally we say like 3 to 4 ounces. So just like that, and we put this back on here. And then I'll shake this up. And because I diluted it into the water, this top thing, I'm actually gonna push it all the way clockwise over to the side.
Now,
so
that allows you to control how much is coming out at a time.
How much soap it pulls out of the canister.
Versus most of the ones you have are just a single setting and
goes.
Off it goes.
Exactly.
So that's kind of cool. You can adjust it for whatever chemical you're using.
Yeah. So I'll just set this stuff aside for now. And then I'm not even going to activate the suds in the bucket yet. And actually I can push these in here. So first we're going to rinse the car, then we'll foam it, then we'll activate the suds, then we'll start washing. So rinsing first.
Awesome.
Now before I just start blasting this down with water, I want to make sure I know where the sun is, okay? Because we talked about it before. This side is exposed to the sun. The other side's in the shade. When you start rinsing your car, from the very moment you start rinsing, start in the shaded side first. that will, I mean, it's not going to dry as fast on that side, so you reduce the chance of getting water spots. If I just
Again
go
with the water spots.
Water spots, water spots, water spots. Water spots is one of the worst things. I mean, not worst things, but I'd say it's one of the most common things that people don't necessarily know how to manage.
And it's a difficult thing to remove once you have them.
Yes. So instead of starting here on the sunny side, I'm going to go to the other side, start in the shade, then we'll make our way back. But when we get to the foaming part, to neutralize the water, we'll start in the sunny side, then go to the shade. So just a quick little pro Adams tip, I guess you could call it.
To be completely fair, I did wash it 2 days ago in my driveway. Standard pressure washer, some soap, wiped it down, hosed it off. So it wasn't trail dirty coming over here, you know. So we're starting with a almost clean vehicle, but it rained, you know, so it did have some dust and stuff on it, which is why we kind of have to go through a cleaning process right now to get it ready for the next step.
Yeah, definitely. And we're just kind of resetting everything to get to the, because again, I think we talked about it in the retail or in the intro, is like we're creating a foundation right now. So like moving forward, it's easier. So this kind of process, what we're doing in this video, is very much like, it might take a little bit of extra work, but it pays dividends in the long run, you know? So again, using strip wash wouldn't do it every time, but for this instance, we're gonna do it because we wanna reset it so we can get the ceramic coating.
I mean, it had been waxed in the past.
Yeah.
So we wanna start as fresh as we possibly can.
Yep. So after you get it rinsed off, take the pressure washer tip, always put it in the right pocket because I always forget where I set it every time. And then we have the strip wash inside of the foam cannon. And like I said before, we start foaming in the sunny side first. And actually,
nice overcast right now.
Yeah, it's nice and overcast right now. But this foam cannon, you can actually change the fan like this. So I like to have it right around there. And you'll see, I'll start, Carrie's gonna finish because this is the most fun part. So when you pull the trigger, you'll see it activates the soap. And you start flocking the Christmas tree.
Well, one of the things I noticed right away is how well it's sticking to the vehicle.
Yeah.
My foam stuff it just starts draining off.
Yeah.
The amount of material coming out of this is way better than my cheapo foam cannon from Amazon. So this is a lot of fun. I like this part. So is that as good as we need to get right now?
Yeah, that's pretty good. You just have to hit the other side.
All right, we'll go to the other side. Is this going to be good for hitting the suspension components as well?
Yeah, it's completely fine.
Just hit everything, right?
Yeah, if I just kind of hit, you can be kind of careless with it. It's just,
all right, well, all right, that should do it?
Yep.
All right. Okay, so we've hit it with the strip wash out
of the foam cannon.
Are we going to rinse it first, or are we going to start right into wash?
So right now, it's actually, we're in a really good spot. And as Adam would say, you could go have a 2 margarita lunch right now, and you're not going to get water spots because we've neutralized the water. So right now, I have like a sense of low anxiety because I'm not racing against the clock for water spots. So I'm good right now. So it's actually, if I started rinsing this off, time's ticking, right? Because water spots start developing. So we leave the foam on the car. I'm just gonna activate the suds in the bucket with my wash pad. So just like that, I can set this down now. So now it's Carrie's and my turn to wash the car. So what I like to do is I generally start kind of like top to bottom, but we have these things in our buckets. There are these grates like this, and while we're washing the car, if this wash pad gets dirty, like if you hit the bottom section where it's the most dirty, you come to your clean bucket, you rub it against the grate, and the loose dirt and grime falls to the bottom of the bucket where these fins are, and then it doesn't swirl up. So you're essentially taking dirt from the car, rubbing against the grate, putting it to the bottom bucket, so you have a fresh wash pad all the time.
You know, if you've got a dirty vehicle, by the time you're done, that water is just brown.
Yes.
So this is going to help keep the dirt off of the washing mitt.
Exactly. And there's a grate in the clean bucket, and there's a grate in the soapy bucket. So we take the wash pad, and remember I have all the soap in here, and I can just start washing right now. So this is just a matter of going over the surface.
Now this is the big difference between going to just a brushless car wash, is the agitation of the soap onto the vehicle.
Yep.
And that's going to help loosen the dirt and make it easier to wash off.
Exactly. And really like get into areas like, all these are like true badges of honor, but like you can get into all the nooks and crannies, whereas the pressure washer system at the drive-through car wash will do okay, but you're still gonna get, you'll see it's like an outline of dirt everywhere, you know? So this really allows you to control it, to focus on it, and get all the areas that, you know, you wanna make sure are clean, you know?
Okay, well, I'm gonna grab a mitt and start washing.
Sounds good.
Now, one of the things that has happened here is we washed it and it's just been sitting here drying. I mean, my grandfather told me never to do that. Like, you gotta, once you're done, you gotta rinse that sucker off as quick as possible, and yet it's just been sitting here. What's with that?
Well, it's because your grandfather didn't use Adam's polishes.
Well done.
No, yeah, so like we were talking about before, it's actually the way that our chemist designed the soap is that even if it dries on the car, it will rinse off perfect no matter what. So again, like having a high quality car soap is just a piece of the process. It's like a tool in your tool belt, you know? So when it comes to washing your car, we don't want you to be dissatisfied or have to feel like you're fighting with your tools while you're doing it. So the car shampoo is fine to dry. Again, it's better to have it like this than the hard water sitting on there, you know, because another magic word, water spots. It's just, we don't want to have to deal with that whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, we've got like streaks coming down from the keyholes and things, and this is how it turns out after I take it through an automatic car wash.
Yeah.
So now, what's the next? We're gonna just rinse it?
Yeah, now we're gonna rinse it, but one thing I always make sure to do, like all of our washing stuff, I can deal with that later. I can clean it, whatever. But what I did do is grab our drying towel, and I also grabbed this detail spray, which is we're gonna use as a drying aid. Because again, we wanna slow the process of water spots happening, and this is a tool for that. So all I do is just put it, you know, either in the driver's side or on the passenger side, just where I know it is. And then I also have another tool we're gonna show here in a minute that's actually very important. But right now we'll go to, like we started rinsing the car on the shaded side, came to this side, foamed it on the sunny side, worked to the shaded side. So now we final rinse, start on the shaded side, come to the sunny side again. So grab our pressure washer. And I don't know if this matters to people, but you know, a pressure washer comes with 4 different tips. It's a white, yellow, green, and red color tips. Red is a 0 degree, which is like a blast of water, which I use to try to get squirrels in my yard.
Clean out the cracks in the driveway.
Exactly, rain gutters. But I think yellow is 25, yellow is 15, green is 25 degree, and then the white is the 40 degree. And the 40 degree is my favorite for rinsing cars because the fan is so much larger that I feel like I can push the soap off of the car and the dirt and grime. So,
well, that 0 one might rip the paint right off.
Yeah, definitely. That's not my favorite. Either the paint or like a PPF, you know? So let's just start in the shaded side again. And this is just a matter of rinsing the car off. So rinse it, and you'll see like as I start hitting it, the soap reactivates, almost suds up again, and then it will come off the car.
While he's doing that, I'm going to ask him a good question. When we're talking about using a pressure washer, what type of PSI should we be looking at getting?
Oh, that's a good question, actually. You know, I think ideally for detailing, right around from like 1,000 to 1,500 PSI is a good range. But the one thing for detailing that a lot of people don't consider is the GPM, which is gallons per minute. So every pressure washer is rated in both PSI and GPM. And the more GPM means there's more water coming out, so it ends up rinsing the car better. So we have, I mean, oh my gosh, I bet we have 6 different pressure washers, both third party and ones that we manufacture. I think our pro grade pressure washer is right around 1.8 GPM and kind of runs at that like kind of 1,500 PSI, which I love. I like a balance between both because I do like the pressure to knock off dirt and grime, but I do like a little bit more water to rinse the car with the suds on it. But we also work with a company called Active. They have a 2.3 GPM pressure washer that runs right around 1,000. That's the one we're using today.
So it's lower pressure, higher volume.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing about water flow is when you tighten the orifice or the area it can come out of, that expands the amount of PSI that comes out. But when you allow more water to come out, the pressure goes down. So and then again, you're limited in power. So you obviously have a pump in your pressure washer. So a gas pressure washer generally has a lot more PSI and GPM, but your neighbors hate that. So all of our pressure washers we offer are all electric.
Well, you don't want to be stripping the paint off your vehicle either.
No, and you can tell like I don't have this trigger pulled. So 0 noise from the pressure washer. As soon as I pull it, it engages the pump and then it turns on. So the fact that we can be this quiet while washing a car, especially like if you're in a driveway, it's more like respectful for your neighborhood, you know? So that's a big thing when it comes to, again, our DIY approach. We're trying to think of all the aspects, you know?
Something you might not have noticed before was just how dirty these roto packs were from the gas spilling out, dirt getting on them. These things were absolutely filthy, and they look really, really good.
They look a lot better. We're gonna make them look even better too, so. All right, Carrie, so I don't know if you can see, but the water is very flat on the surface here. It's just stuck to the paint. Part of what we're doing today is putting a protection agent on there that's going to be hydrophobic, meaning it's gonna bead water. Like the water is gonna hit this and fall off, making it a little bit, it's gonna almost look dry when the next time you rinse this. And part of the hydrophobic properties is the water is gonna grab onto a lot of that dirt and grime and it's gonna take it with it, right? So it makes cleaning your car that much easier. And especially you taking this out on the trails, you know, with the dirt on here, even just like a simple rinse, it's gonna look 100 times better.
So that's actually going to work with the mud too. As we hit a mud spot, more of that's just gonna bead right off versus stick to it.
100%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so. We're done? No, I'm just kidding. Not quite. We're getting close though. So the whole car's rinsed off. Now it's time to dry it. And like I said before, got my drying aid and my drying towel. And let's turn this on. Your drying aid, this is something you go and you mist the whole car. So, and I always start on the sunny side when it comes to this part. So take this and mist the car like so. So what this is gonna do is the detail spray will kind of incorporate with the hard water, and it's gonna slow the process of water spots. And the
Again, with the water spots.
Yeah, I know, this is like you should title this video, "Don't Get Water Spots," you know? But the other thing too is this is a shine enhancement. So like this product is extremely versatile. Like use it as a drying aid like I'm doing. You can also use it as a clay lubrication, but the number one thing people use it for is to wipe down their garage queens at car shows. So just simple spray and wipe. Quick detailer would be like the category it sits in, but you can use it for so many different things. And with the drying aid aspect, it's just a great tool for that. So
now with that ceramic coating and the water beating off a lot easier and faster, that's going to make the drying process easier as well?
100%. And I'm glad you touched on that, because the way it makes it easier too is there's not going to be as much water on the car, so your drying towel doesn't get as saturated with the drying aid and the water. So your drying towel ends up going a lot further of a way. So the drying towel is pretty big.
We sprayed from the sun side. We're going to start drying from the shade side?
From the sunny side.
Oh, we're going to start on the other side.
Okay. This is going to dry a lot slower on this side. So we come back over here. I have my drying towel, which is pretty big, and I like to fold it once, twice.
And this is microfiber?
Yep, microfiber, and a third time. And the cool thing about this towel is that it's double-sided. So on this side, you see there's like fibers, and this side it's like a finishing side. And so I like to fold it onto the fiber side because you'll notice one swipe with this towel on the glass and it's like a streak-free dry. But what happens is the fibers on this other side hold all the water. So you can really get a nice finish with this side, but you're not gonna get streaks because it's holding all the water.
How clean that window looks. Oh my God.
So I like to actually start by cleaning the glass and like the surrounding areas first, because that's the thing that streaks the most. So I'll start there. I'll even do the windshield really quick. I just always like to start with the glass.
I'm sorry it's lifted so high.
No, it's fine. I like it. I'd rather it be lifted than not.
Makes it easier for some things, harder for others.
Yeah. Cleaning, not so much. But that's all right.
Try working on the engine.
Yeah. So then, after I do the glass, and I'm drying the areas in the sun first.
Well,
and
fortunately, we don't have a lot right now.
Yeah, no, we're getting kind of, it's actually, you know what, Carrie? Good timing. The weather's perfect right now.
It is. Couldn't ask for a better day to be doing this.
Normally I'm out here when it's 100 degrees and, you know, I might lose my fair share of water weight, but, you know. And that's a nice thing about detail spray too. It's not going to leave any streaks behind.
Wow.
So
look at that.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good already.
Now we see the pinstripes, but that's a whole nother process.
Yep, we're gonna get into that
next. Which is where the whole thing started.
Yep. And the other thing too, you'll notice, like this right here. Okay, there's water coming out of where you put your key in. I'm gonna use a tool here in 1 second that eliminates the water from coming out of those.
Okay.
Yep.
That's always a problem for me, especially, you know, at an automatic car wash.
Yeah.
You're gonna get a dirt streak right there.
Yeah.
But I did notice that water's clean right now. So.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, already it's looking better than it has in a long, long time.
Yeah, it's looking pretty nice. But listen, we're not going for okay.
No.
We're going for great, you know?
For Adam's level of perfection, right?
Hey, you'd be surprised, man. Even some of our like employees were like, man, we do this all the time. And it's more satisfying doing it for other people anyways, you know? So.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. And I was talking about the towel. Like the reason why I also like to fold it is if I go and wipe like right here, and maybe we missed our wash pad here and this gets really dirty, I can always flip it over to a fresh side. So another like little secret tip to making sure that you're just not rubbing dirt against the surface every single time you touch a car. You know, the whole idea is to reduce the chance of putting scratches or anything into your car. Scratches, water spots, all that stuff. So,
those water spots.
I know, imagine that.
Seems to be a recurring theme.
You guys are gonna have to like, every time
Maybe there's a drinking game out of it,
that's
right?
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Every time I say water spots, take a drink of whatever your favorite, maybe it's LaCroix, maybe it's, since we're in Colorado, Coors or Coors Light.
Those roto packs look almost new.
Okay. Pretty much all the hard surfaces are dry. I'll be back in 1 second. I'm gonna grab a tool really fast.
Just gonna take a moment and take a look at the floor mats. I mean, they have scratches in them. I mean, from our feet with gravel in here and stuff, but we don't see any of that embedded dirt that I'm so used to getting once these dry. So these are looking pretty nice.
Is our air cannon mini. Air cannon mini right here. So this is essentially a blower that you hold by hand, and the nice thing is underneath, I don't know if I could even get this off, but you can see it right here, there's a filter inside here. So we're going to be using this to, I'll show you right here on the handle.
On the other,
yep.
Yeah, step on the other side there.
I'll show you right here on the handle and the key entry. You can take this and blow the water out of it. So what's gonna happen is, again, here's this magic word, water spots, is most of the times if you don't do that and you're using hard water, you'll get that chalk line. You can even kind of have it right here already a little bit, but it eliminates that completely. So I always like to get the water off the car quickly, and then I'll come back. The hinges, the mirrors, the badges will blow all the water out of it, so that when we get into the next step, I'm not fighting against that, or I'm not getting the hard water chalk line. Woo!
Anyone who washes their own Jeep knows that those areas around the windshield or the windows are just notorious for dripping water down after you're done, leaving those marks. So this is a great idea to get that water out of there and prevent all those smudges after the fact. I mean, the Jeep is looking better than I've seen it in a long, long time. So what have we done so far here? We did some work on this passenger door,
yeah,
or the back door here.
So just as far as the whole process, we've cleaned the wheels and tires, we washed the car, And now we're at a point where, again, we're trying to create a foundation to make it easier to clean next time. So I already started on here, but I'm gonna do it on this door
because we had to figure out what we needed to do.
Yeah, exactly. So what we started
It's not like
doing,
we're purposely skipping a step here on the video. We needed to run a test to see what materials we needed to use.
And really, we just want to see what the car's telling us, right? Because we can use whatever product, but the car's going to tell us what it needs. So we started with machine polishing. So I have this 15 millimeter SK Pro machine polisher, and we used a series of different pads and compounds and polish to get this section of the door to where kind of we want it. And we figured out the process. So I'll talk about that here in a second. But the cool thing about the polishers that we offer is they're random orbital dual action polishers. So they orbit like this, but it's free spinning. So like what I like to show people at car shows is if I put a pad on here and I put this at setting 2, I can actually turn this on and like hold on to I can actually like rotate it. Where if we were using a rotary buffer, I wouldn't have a hand, right? So these are very much different than I think what most people would consider like buffing a car. We're not rotary buffing. We are using a dual action polisher, which, to be honest with you, the technology in the compounds and polishes has progressed so much that you don't need a super aggressive machine and you don't need a lot of technique. It's very, very simple. So that's the process and machine we're going to be using on this door here.
So one of the questions I want to ask, you know, again, from my grandpa, right? And online, people say that the Jeep paint and clear coat is so thin that you have to be super careful about how many times you actually polish it before you've just ruined it.
Yeah.
Is that true, or what are we looking at there?
I think to a certain extent, but because you're using more of a random orbital polisher, it does a lot of work with not removing as much material, because realistically, like when you're polishing a car, you're taking off layers of clear coat to get to the bottom of scratches to make it look a perfect mirror. And it's just so you know, a perfect shine is just all is defined as a perfect reflection. That's it. So when you see these, you know, I know this can be a badge of honor, but when you see these pinstripes, all it is the light from the sun bouncing around inside the scratch and then coming back out. And our eyes are seeing the light bouncing around in there. So if you essentially eliminate the canyon of the scratch, it's just a perfect reflection, making it look glossy or perfect, you know? So yeah, I mean, all cars are different. Clear coat comes in different layers, different thicknesses. It's usually measured in microns or milliliters. And I would say generally, for like just across the board generalization, is a clear coat layer is about the thickness of a sheet of printer paper, which is measured as 8 microns. And when you're doing the polishing process, generally you're removing about 0.3 to 0.5, maybe, that's quite a bit, 0.3 to 0.2 microns worth of clear coat. So, you know, if you're doing 0.2, you'd have to do that 5 times to take off 1 micron. So 5 times 8 is 40. You'd have to polish your car 40 times. This is just total generalization, but polish your car 40 times before you get through the clear coat. People polish their car once or twice a year, maybe. And if you do it once, the next time you do it, you're not going to be as aggressive. And generally you have ceramic coating on there, so you're not actually polishing clear coat. So
now that's a question. You know, we've talked about the ceramic coating a little bit. How thick is that when it goes on there?
It's very thin. I couldn't even tell you. I don't even know off the top of my head the micron thickness, but it's actually harder than clear coat. So when you polish it, you don't remove nearly as much. You'd have to polish it maybe 3 times to really like get the coating completely off of the car, you know? So it is almost like a superficial clear coat, but not. It's chemically engineered different to perform in a way to make cleaning it easier, but it doesn't inquire as much damage like we were talking about swirl marks. So it's actually easier to correct in the long run. So getting ceramic coating on here is very important.
So it's going to be harder than the original clear coat.
Yeah.
So that's going to prevent some of the lighter scratches that we've had.
Yeah.
And it's going to make polishing it down the road easier.
Yeah, and
so
that's
good advantages
yeah,
there.
yeah, and I think a lot of times like that's a big advantage of having ceramic coating on the car is, first off, when you wash it, there's less dirt and grime on the car. Just off the bat, that's already a plus. But the other thing is, if there is damage that you're gonna put on there, it's not as severe as if it was in the clear coat. So like across the board, and that's why generally a car that's ceramic coated looks better than a car that either is not ceramic coated or waxed for longer, because it's not taking in as much scratches and damage as those other cars. So it's a big advantage to it. But like in this case, you know, ceramic coating isn't just to preserve perfection. That's not like the intention of it, right? As we have brought it to the market and we've learned, it has become a tool that it's a tool that spans across more purposes than just preserving perfection. Because when it first came out, it was like, oh, this is better than wax, so we're gonna put it on perfect cars. That's great, but you can put it on off-roading cars, because what's the challenge of this when you come off of the trail? Getting it clean again, right? So having ceramic coating on here is gonna make that part that much easier. And again, the fact that it's easier means that you can enjoy this car the way it was intended, which is taking it up onto the trail. You know?
Now, we're not trying to get Optimus in pristine showroom condition.
Yeah.
I mean, that might be expecting a little too much from what we're doing.
Yeah.
There are some deep scratches on here.
Yeah.
We're probably not going to be able to remove them, but what we will do is completely minimize their effect.
Yeah.
So even though you might see them at certain angles, they're just not going to show. And I think here we have some good examples of that. Here we had those over here, and they're gone.
They're less
so
small.
they're well, yeah, correct myself. They're not gone. We just don't see them anymore because of what we've done. So I think when we see this after he's finished, it'll make a huge difference.
And one thing I do want to say, which is you kind of touched on it, is like every person's version of perfect is different. Like my version of perfect on my car is different than somebody who bought a brand new car, because I have a 18-year-old car. I know I can't get it back to perfection without repainting it. I'm not going to do that. Same with this car. It already has pinstripes on it, so we're going to make it look a lot better, but to get it perfect would just require too much, you know? So if you're watching this and you're like, well, I'm not going to be able to get my car to perfect, that's okay. That your version of perfect is different than other people's. Really minimizing how obvious the scratches are to then put the ceramic coating on, that's what we're really trying to do here.
Exactly. Not showroom perfect, but from 20 feet away, it's going to look it.
Yeah, exactly.
So what materials are we going to use to accomplish this?
So Adams Polishes, we have a pretty extensive machine polisher line. And but at its core, it's essentially a two-step system. So I was showing Carrie this earlier, but essentially your two steps start with the first step, you have to make a choice, and the second step is a standalone. So the first step by itself, you have two pads. They both have blue foam on them, okay? The blue foam color pairs with the blue compound that you would use, and if you're colorblind, you flip over the pad and it says compound on the back. So these pads are intended to be used with Adams compound, okay? And the reason why you have to make a choice is the microfiber pad is more aggressive than the blue foam pad. So if your car doesn't have too much damage and it's very easy to correct, the blue foam will be your first step, and you only use this for the first step. But in this case, there's some deeper scratches from pinstripes. So the microfiber pad is going to actually do a little bit more work. It's a thinner layer of foam, but the fibers will get into the scratches, letting the compound work a little bit better.
I was wondering about, because I would have thought the foam would have been more aggressive from its texture, but it's because it can get into those cracks a little bit better.
Yeah, and you know, this is essentially microfiber glued onto a foam piece, and the compound won't go into the foam. It's not going to absorb in there or absorb in there. It's going to stay at the surface. So you're actually using more compound as you work this through. And all compound is a diminishing abrasive. So it starts big, and as it heats up and mashes around, pieces of it start to break off. So it starts to diminish down, and that's why it can refine to look really good. But generally with the compounding step, it will leave a little bit of haze behind. And your polishing step, which is step 2 with the white foam pad,
which matches to white
polish. And again, it says it on the back, but this essentially clears up the haze left behind from compounding, making it look amazing. So that's why it's a 2-step system. So pretty unique. But on your car, Carrie, we definitely have to start with, well, generally what I would say is you would start with the blue foam. That's like middle of the road. A good place to start. Gives you like a baseline, and if it doesn't remove the amount of damage you want, then you bump up to aggressiveness to the microfiber. And we already did this, so we know that it needs microfiber. And if you're watching this and you want to know step by step how to do this process, because maybe you have a machine polishing system already, or you're investing in one, we have some really good videos. Like if you search on YouTube, Adams Polishes Polishing 101. It is like from the very beginning to the very end of exactly how to do this process. So some good education on our YouTube.
Excellent. When you're working this, how much pressure are you putting on the machine?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I'll just start doing this so you can kind of see it. But pressure wise, we call it the rule of thumb. How hard you can push with your thumb on the logo on the polisher is how hard you would push. So it's not too much. I would almost give it like 2 pounds of pressure maybe, but generally when you're doing this, you can hear the machine start to work. It almost like sounds like it's bogged down. Right when you hear it do that is like perfect amount. That's how hard you can push with your thumb.
Excellent. Good tip.
When we get this started, I'm going to work in this section here, and I take the compound, shake it a little bit, and I like to put 4 lines onto my pad. So 4 thin lines like this. Okay. And then you spread this around on the surface, because if you don't spread it around, the compound will sling all over your car. And then trying to get it out of the plastic, trying to get it out of the plastic, the soft top, it's again, taking steps backwards by doing that. So spread this around on the surface so when you turn the machine on, it doesn't sling everywhere. And I'm gonna put this on setting number 4. It goes up to 6, it goes down to 1. So number 4. And then it has a locking trigger. So I'll pull the trigger, I'll push this button, locks it in, and then I hold down here, because the whole technique is to keep the pad as flat as possible on the surface. So turn this on, lock it in. So again, as hard as I can push with my thumb is how hard I push. And then you do a cross-hatching pattern. So front to back, overlapping by 10%. And then up and down, overlapping by 10%. And you can see how fast I'm moving the machine. I'm not doing this. It doesn't allow the compound to work. So a nice, slow pace. And then I go front to back again, and up and down one more time. Like that. And before I wipe that off, what I want to show you is if you're using the microfiber pad, the fibers mat down like this. Okay, so our kit comes with a tool called a pad conditioning brush. Okay, you hold this away from the car, hold the trigger down, and set this on there. It gets some of the dried out compound out of the pad, but after you're done using the pad conditioning brush, the fibers are standing back up. Okay, so now we have a nice, it's not necessarily fresh pad, but the fibers are ready to go again. So after every time you do passes like that, you want to brush your pad out, and then you can go back to adding compound to it. But just for the sake of right now, we'll wipe this off. And you can actually see we've done a lot of work so far.
Wow.
So we didn't hit over here, we've mainly focused right here.
Look at that difference.
So
that tells the story right there.
yeah, yeah. So there's a few right here. I can see quite a bit because listen, you're on the trails all the time. So I might do one more pass with compound just to be sure, and then I'll do polish right after. So we'll probably link up here in a minute after I do one more pass of compound. And I would say, like, I'm doing this in direct sunlight. I also have a lot of experience doing it outside because of car shows. But for people at home, you ideally want to get this in your garage into the shade. It makes the process a lot easier to do. So I would just make sure we can't right now because they're setting up for that tent sale. But I do recommend.
But if you can't, you just do it on a shade side.
Yeah, or if you have like a pop-up tent, you could just get it in the shade.
Now, what he's doing right now is putting on some black trim restore, and it's called black trim restore. Imagine that, right? So let's look at this side. It's untreated. So first he goes over and does an extra cleaning to make sure he gets as much oxidation off of it as possible, gets as much of the dirt and grime out of the plastic. Then look at this. I mean, there's scratches, there's dings. I mean, it's not a brand new bumper, but holy cow, that difference is absolutely amazing. So see if you can see the difference here. Gray, black. Wow, that's a huge difference. Now, one piece that a lot of people complain about is this cowl. And this thing is brutal. It just fades so quickly out in the sun. And we're going to do the same treatment on there, and hopefully this thing is going to look as good as that bumper, because this, unfortunately, this really kind of ruins the look of the vehicle, having this thing look so faded. And my other option was going to be to just pull this off and literally paint it. But we're going to see how well the black trim restore works. Close up of the hood latches. And we'll go over to this side. Wow, thing looks brand spanking new. Take a look at how we're doing on the cowl. Look at that.
All right, Carrie, we're exhausted. No, actually not too bad. We did the whole polishing step on this side. And actually, Carrie, you and I came up with a cool idea, which is we are going to do half of this car, half of Optimus, and then take it out on the trail. You can really see the difference of how the products are working. And then I made you a deal. After that, when you come back, we'll finish the rest of the car. But
right, so we're gonna see how dirty one side gets than the other, how easy it is to clean, and then we'll finish it up so that the whole thing is all solid. Yeah. I think it's a great idea. It'll really show the difference in how this protective coating is going to work.
Yeah, I think so too. But
now, what are we going to use on it next?
So we're actually going to put the ceramic coating on. So we have a spray version of it that's really good. And this is called our graphene ceramic spray coating advanced. So this is actually rated to last 2 years on your car. Now, the years rating isn't all that accurate. It's just kind of how the industry has marketed the products. But for your car, because you're taking it on the trail and you're going to get the pinstripes and everything, so you will end up probably polishing this maybe once a year. This is a better option because you're going to want to reapply it. So jumping up to a more concentrated ceramic coating is great, especially for like a daily driven car that goes through all the elements. But for this purpose of this car, which is, trail riding, overlanding, off-roading, I think this is a better option. So very, very simple to apply, but as far as everything we've done so far, I mean, we've talked about in the video, but clean the wheels and tires, wash the car, and then we polished it, compound and polished it, and then we did black trim restore on the fender. So
and how much does this cost?
This costs, I think it comes, the best way to get it is a kit, and I think it's $60.
Oh, that's not bad.
And
that's going to be enough to more than do this vehicle.
Oh yeah, you can probably do 2 cars with this.
Okay.
Now, the more concentrated version looks like this. This is more like your traditional ceramic coating. This is rated to last 9 years on your car. So a great option, but The one thing about the one we're gonna use is it has the ability to spray. That is a huge advantage when it comes to ceramic coating a car like this. So I'll show you how to put it onto the paint.
Versus the other one is applied how?
It goes onto a small applicator like this, and then you mainly put it on the paint and the side glass and the plastic. But this one, I'll just show you right off the bat why the spray to me is so important. You can actually take this and all your suspension, everything, boom, spray it in here. It's gonna make all of this look a lot better. Even your frame. Okay, your suspension, also your fenders, like this.
And again, it's gonna make the dirt come off easier.
Yep, when the dirt gets mixed with water, it's hydrophobic, so it beads water. So it's going to, the dirt will mix with the water and it will vacate a lot easier. So just the fact that you can spray it and do that to your suspension and all those parts, not only does it make it look good, but that's even gonna be easier to clean when you come back from the trail. So,
nice.
So that having the spray is very important to me. But the way that we put this on the car is spray it onto an applicator like this one. Give it roughly 5 sprays maybe, like that. Let's just set this aside. And now you put it directly onto the paint. I'm even gonna do the glass as well. So it's almost like you're putting it on, or putting on a wax kind of.
Then is there any buffing or polishing after this?
There is, yeah. So I don't know if you can come over, stand on this side, but you can almost see it looks like there's an oil slick on the car.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the solvent flashing off of the surface, okay? So once the color of that oil slick, or we call it the rainbow effect, once the color fades away, you wipe it off. So what essentially what's happening is, you know, in car care, and I mean a lot of chemistries, you have something called a vehicle agent. That's the thing that gets the raw material out of the bottle and onto the car. And then the vehicle agent will, you know, evaporate into the air, leaving the raw material behind. So that rainbow effect is essentially the solvent evaporating into the air, leaving the ceramic coating onto the surface. So that's like the solvent is serving a very specific purpose. But
I think it's interesting that you're not just doing the paint, you're doing the plastic, you're doing the glass, you're doing the rubber trim. I mean, you're literally hitting everything on here.
And I mean, even we even if we had a little bit more, I mean, I could still do it, but even if we had a little more time, I would even apply this to your soft top.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a very specific way to do it. And we have a video online that teaches you all aspects of applying the ceramic coating. And in that video, I use a combination of the smaller bottle, the more concentrated bottle, with the spray. But essentially you use a brush. It's almost like a shoe polishing brush. And essentially what you do is you brush the fibers one way, so they lay down like this. You spray the ceramic coating on top of that, then you brush it the opposite way, and you're coating all sides of the fibers essentially.
Oh, interesting.
Brush it 4 different ways. And it works really good. I mean,
what's going to be the benefit of doing that on the soft top?
Again, it's just easier to clean. You know, like, I don't know if you noticed, but when we were spraying that off with the pressure washer, it's like the water absorbs into it. Once the coating's on there, the water beads up on the surface and falls off. So a lot easier to clean.
Now, is there any UV protection out of that?
There is some UV protection to it, yeah, definitely. It's not gonna let it fade as fast, that's for sure. So I'll take this borderless gray towel, is what we call it. It's a plush towel. And a lot of the rainbow has gone away on the door and on your mirror or your window. So you just take this and you just buff it off. And it's gonna feel like a little bit sticky, right, when you start doing this. Feel this.
Oh yeah, I can see how it feels like it's sticking to it a little bit.
So after you wipe it a few times and cut through that, and you know, even though I put it on the plastic, it usually will self-level. I like to just take off the excess on there too. So even on the plastic, you can wipe this off.
So again, one of the main benefits of doing it on the plastic is going to be the cleaning aspect.
Yeah, it's good. No, whatever material the ceramic coating goes on, it's going to be hydrophobic. Doesn't matter if it's plastic, soft top, if it's the paint, the glass.
Now, would you do that on the tires?
You know, it doesn't work very well on the tires, but we have like a graphene infused tire dressing that we're going to use in a second that makes the appearance look really good and rich, and it will even bead water a little bit, but it's not going to last as long as the coating like it does on here.
Well, I hope you guys are learning as much as I am about this. I mean, I use soap. Well, that's about it. So, I mean, and this is not going to be a process that you're going to do every week. You're going to, do it once, and then we're going to come back and show how to maintain it down the road, which is going to be faster cleaning, easier cleaning, all that. And that's what you're going to do on a every week basis, or every time you take it out to the trail. But the majority of this work is maybe once a year.
Yeah, if that, like maybe it's once every year and a half, once every couple years. I know for me, like in Colorado, I like to do it. I actually do this twice a year. I do it before I go into winter because it makes cleaning during the winter so much easier. And then, throughout winter, you're going to acquire damage. It's just the reality of living in the seasons, because magnesium, chloride, everything. So I'll do like a spring cleaning. So like April or May, I'll just do the same process. And after you get it polished like we did, you can really do just like a one-step polish, which is way more efficient. That takes me about 2 hours when I do it. And then applying the ceramic coating takes me about an hour. So I just block out, give it 4 hours on a Saturday during the spring, and then again in like October. And I just my car's always protected, looks great. It's always easy to clean, So here, feel this now after we've wiped it. We buffed it off.
Oh, yeah, it just glides on there now.
Yep.
That's a good physical feedback telling you that you've got it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like once you've cut through the initial wipe, it's pretty easy. Or it's not easy. I didn't mean easy. I meant like it feels like hard to wipe off. But once you've got through that and you've buffed it off, it's just so much easier. So even like your badges here, we'll even go straight over these. And I think like traditionally with wax, I'd be avoiding this. I'd be avoiding this because it would stain it,
Yeah.
Ceramic coating enhances it. It makes it look better and it protects it, so it's much easier to clean later. And even like your
the rock sliders?
Rock sliders, you can see how it enhances it like that.
It's going to make it look too clean. If he didn't have to go here in a couple hours, he would sit here all night making this thing look as perfect as possible. I just know it. But he's also going to put the graphite on the fenders, even though we've done that blackening agent on here to make them look good. Adding that protection on there, again, going to help keep them clean, going to make them easier to clean when we get off the trail.
You know what the best thing is for Carrie? You didn't even have to pay me for this.
It's got a good point there.
No, this has been a really, like, you know, you reach out to me on social media and, you know, I get a lot of like spam stuff and I'm like, I don't know, I'm going to roll the dice. I'm going to hit carry back and see. And I'm just so glad we're able to do this. You know, this is such a cool, I mean, your car is cool. Your YouTube channel is amazing. So being able to like collaborate on something like this, I think it's been a unique experience, you know, and we have some experience with doing, you know, off-road style vehicles, but, you know, for you know, this isn't a, what do they call it? Like a highway queen, or, you know, it's not like you got this whole setup and you don't use it for what it's intended for. Like, you're taking it out on the trails, you're doing all this stuff. So, being able to help you and maybe even like educate your viewers a little bit, I think it's just it's been a cool collaboration, you know?
Oh, for sure. And I realize this is going to be a really long video, but I hope it's really educational for you. And if you like this type of content, be sure and let me know. We'll do more things like this. And of course, you know, like the video, subscribe to the channel so that, you know, you don't miss out on, you know, any other cool content like this. Really appreciate it. And it tells us that this is the type of content that you like, as well as, you know, our adventures that we do. Okay, well, our kind of the last step for today is we're going to do a kind of a dressing on the tires. We're not doing tire shine, so don't get your panties in a bunch. We're doing a dressing to help protect them, help keep them cleaner. And what are we using on here?
So actually, there's a product that's very popular in our line called Graphene VRT. And the VRT stands for vinyl, rubber, and trim. So it's like a dressing for vinyl, rubber, like plastic and trim. Mm-hmm. But what I did is I diluted it into pretty much 50% water, 50% graphene VRT. So the reason why is I want to be able to spray it. And just also FYI, the graphene is an extension of the graphene coating. So, you know, ceramic coatings traditionally are polysilazane. They're silazane-based coating that can only be mixed in with solvent. But the graphene is a derivative of graphene called reduced graphene oxide, and that can be paired with protection agents in a water-based solution. So they added the reduced graphene oxide to graphene VRT so it lasts longer, and that's why it's called graphene VRT. So I just diluted it into this dilution bottle. And the reason why I want to be able to spray it is because your tread block is so aggressive that I want to be able to get it even into all these places. So the way you do this is you take it, I'm only aiming right here. I'm not even trying to spray down here. I might do a little bit into the lettering, but you spray it like this. And a little bit in the letters. And then spray it into your tire applicator like that. And then what we do, I like to squeeze this together, and then I rub this on the tires. And then I'll go with the grooves. But the fact that I can spray it when I even it out in the grooves, it's not a gloopy or gloppy mess.
And again, we're getting some of this ceramic protection with the hydrophobic properties, so it's going to shed mud and water easier, yep. And again, make the tires easier to clean.
You know what, Carrie? You could work here.
I'm getting good at this stuff. At least we don't have to worry about water spots.
Yeah, water spots, man. We're through that part, man. Thank goodness.
But I like this. They look clean, they look new, but they don't look like you sprayed it with something to make them look super shiny. I don't like that look at all. It's unnatural. This looks super, super good.
And as the, you know, like I said, I mixed it with water. It's a water-based product. As the water evaporates out of it, it's only going to finish down more matte, you know, but the richness and color, like you can see the difference between the two is just, it's so much better. It looks more even, it looks more presentable. So that's part of why, like, dressing your tires is, you know, it's probably one thing you cannot do, but when you do it, it's so obvious. It's like, wow.
Yeah, they look black, but they don't look shiny.
Exactly.
I love that. So here, I'll pull back here. You can see the front and the back. Stark difference. God dang, the Jeep looks good, dude. It just looks amazing. Now, again, I want to point out, we're not going for perfection here. We're not trying to get every little teeny, well, we're getting the little teeny scratches out. We're not getting the big scratches out. They're going to happen. You're going to get them if you do what we do. But can you see them? I can't. You have to get right up on top of it to see some of those imperfections. But oh my God, look how good this thing looks. It is absolutely amazing looking.
Yeah, pretty fun, man. You know, again, doing stuff like this is more unique because, you know, the off-roading community, you know, they definitely take care of their cars, but, you know, as far as car care goes, you know, I think once you get into the routine of it, it's a lot easier. But, you know, again, I think obviously right now we're very satisfied with how it looks. It's shiny. The fenders are back to black after doing the restoration. Tires are looking great, but when you see the results really are how easy it is to clean after. So that's like the big thing. But again, today was all about creating a foundation, right? Like you put the extra work in to polish it and do all the things, but that helps the ceramic go on better. And then that is what really performs out on the trail. So, you know, again, I just want to thank you for reaching out to me and doing this collaboration. It's been, you know, it's been really fun. I love doing transformations are like my favorite. You know, it's one thing to work on perfect cars. It's a whole nother thing to work on a car that needs a little bit of love. And it did need a little bit of love, but the results kind of speak for themselves.
I mean, we got a couple little things to finish up, the other tires and things, but what a difference. And really big thanks to you.
Oh yeah, of course.
The guys at Adams Polishes. This has been absolutely amazing learning experience for me. Again, I hope it was for you guys, but remember, this is not the end. We've only done half the vehicle. We're gonna go out, we're gonna get this thing as dirty as possible, and we're gonna see the difference. We're gonna see how, you know, one side should stay cleaner than the other, and when it comes to cleaning it, how much easier it is. So, as he said, we built the foundation, or at least half of it.
Yeah.
We've got the foundation down, and we're gonna see what a difference that makes moving forward. So Joe, thanks so much, man.
Yeah,
I really
you.
appreciate your time. You put in a ton of effort today. I can't wait to get home and have Katarina see this and just blow her mind with how good this looks.
Cool, man.
Thanks a ton.
Yep, we'll see you next time.
All right.